This podcast contains strong language which may be offensive to some people. Swearing is naughty.
Talking to the stars of today
and the freshest talent of tomorrow.
Their story in their words.
This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast.
In the spotlight.
It is back! In the Spotlight has finally returned to the podcast world. Taken off the shelf, dusted off, and even some fancy new artwork. Ooh! Speaking to incredible people who are not only changing their own lives, but so many others in one way or another. So enough from me, let's talk to today's star. Sherie Doodles.
I'm Sherie. I'm the founder and owner of Frankie Doodles Children's Clothing Boutique, and I'm also Frankie's mum.
Frankie, where's Frankie at the moment? Is he just chilling?
In bed.
He's
in bed. I can hear him watching YouTube at the moment.
Chilling in the boardroom, as they say.
That's it.
Ah, good man.
That's it. In his office, as he likes to call it.
Well, yeah, everyone's got to have a nice little office, haven't they? So Frankie's the face, and you are the creator. How did this all begin?
It all started after Frankie was born. He was born severely premature. He was born 25 weeks, so he was 15 weeks early. And so he was in like high intensive care NICU units. Some time went by and they said, we need to start introducing clothing to him, obviously because get the skin used to the textures, things like that. So obviously it's prem baby wear, but like specialist, for hospitals, because obviously the NICU clothing is what it's called. It's a lot more like delicate material. There's buttons down the side to make way for the tubes and things like that. And so obviously the only places that really sold that kind of clothing was boutiques, like that you just get on your high street or something like that, just random independent boutiques. You go in there and they were so expensive. It was like one tiny little vest, which was probably not even like a square metre of material. And it was like 12 quid. And it was just, the bigger shops didn't, like Asda's, and places like that, they've like Next, they've sort of upped their game a little bit. Mothercare existed still then, and they didn't really have a great range for premature either. So it was all like early baby, and early baby could be like 2-3 weeks early. It didn't cater for actual NICU babies, like babies that were incubated. So I went online and started looking for wholesale and found wholesalers. I weren't looking for them, but they came up. And so I'd order you order a unit. Back then, a unit used to be, say, 12 to 24 outfits. So I'd pick like 1 or 2, maybe 3 out of it. And then I was just selling the difference on eBay or selling to like the other parents that were on the unit as well. And I just went back and forth like that. The range for boys was better because the big corporates, they don't do very good ranges in boys' clothing. So, as he was growing, came out of hospital, I was just getting them off them, really random, unique, sort of different pieces. So nobody wants their kids to wear what other kids are wearing. You always want them to look a little bit different. And then a couple of years sort of went, and I'm going back and forth. And then eventually a friend said to me, when are you going to start your business? I went, what business? And she went, Frankie Doodles, of course. And I went, oh yeah.
Someone saw it before you did.
Yeah, that's it. It was just, but everyone knew what I was doing. I was telling everyone, I'm just buying this stuff, and I'm just putting it on eBay and selling on. And so it was like a little sideline, really, just, trying things out. And I did sort of sometimes, like, it did sort of cross my mind. Wouldn't it be nice if this was a business? But just, nothing more.
It's when you said they things come in like packs of 12, and I thought he could wear the same thing. He'd be like Steve Jobs, who famously only ever wore the same colour T-shirt every day to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne does the same thing. He only
It's a
owns black
showbiz thing.
t-shirts.
And I know Daniel Radcliffe, when he was performing in the theatre, he would leave the back entrance or the back exit wearing the same clothing as the night before. So when the paparazzi were out there taking pictures, it just like a day before, and the day before that, and the day before that.
Yeah.
So okay, maybe there's something in this. I like it. So what's been the biggest challenge in getting the whole thing started?
Biggest challenge? There's been quite a few. The biggest challenge was sort of really getting started, because I was a little bit embarrassed. Not embarrassed, but just I wasn't very confident. And I mean, I can do a lot of things. Things I know, I'm very confident. I'm flying off with that. But this was sort of like a little bit unknown, and it was kind of like a business that I wasn't kind of looking to start. You know, I always just imagined I'd have a massive property empire, or I'd own a bank or something like that, or I'd be a massive rich landowner or something like that. And you know, if that to me is a business, you know,
that could all still happen. You know, that could all still happen.
It could. This is very true. But like a little kids' clothing business, because I wouldn't say, and I think the reason why I didn't imagine it was because I'm not your average yummy mummy. Do you know what I mean? I'm not, you know, that kind of person. I'm very much just me, you know. What you see is what you get. I'm not one of those gentle parents, or, you know, that runs around with like a container of carrot sticks and organic smoothies and stuff like that. I'm more of a half-eaten Kit Kat and 3-day-old bottled water in the bag. Do you know what I mean? That's just fermented. So that was the challenge, really. It was just having the confidence to sort of get out on social media. And then a friend came round, and she had like a little side sort of photography business. And she said, look, I'll take some pictures of Frankie wearing the clothing. And, you know, there'll be some nice pictures to start off with on, you know, and it was a private group. I started off with a private group because I didn't want everyone to sort of look and laugh and make fun of it, you know. But I don't know. I just had this vision in my head that people wouldn't respond very well, but they did. And you know, I had a job alongside it. So it was all just very, you know, seasonal sort of thing. But the challenge was just getting started, getting on with it.
Which I think is a problem for most people. That first step. Kind of answer the question, really. Has it been smooth sailing, or have you had some angry waves to ride, really, along this little journey?
It's never smooth sailing. It's never smooth sailing. You have this romantic, delusional positivity that it's going to be great. You're going to have this business and everyone's going to love it, and you're going to get loads of sales, and you're going to be like all those business owners on TikTok where they're doing that TikTok with the ching, ching, ching. You know, anyone who uses this will get thousands of sales, like those sort of things. No, it's not been like that at all.
No.
No way, has it? It's like, it's literally, businesses in general are so fragile, you know, and you know, it's like, do you remember Tamagotchis?
I do remember Tamagotchis. And then I remember when they got re-released again.
Yeah, that is what a business is. A business is a Tamagotchi. You have to feed it, water it, play with it. You've got to keep it alive. That's it. Because if you step away once, right? My Tamagotchi died during my GCSE maths exam.
I was going to ask, have you had a Tamagotchi and what happened to it?
229 days, something like that. It was a fucking record. And
wow.
The little shit died in its own shit. Like there was poo everywhere in my maths exam. It was do you know what? Not only was it the worst exam of my life, but my Tamagotchi died after, and I was absolutely gutted. My mum said, aren't you upset that you were, you know, you don't think you did that well in your exam? I was like, Mum, my Tamagotchi died. Like, my little dog died. I'm so upset about my little dog, Popeye. That was his name, Popeye.
What a traumatic experience, especially during a maths exam.
Exactly.
I can't stand maths anyway, so that makes it even worse.
And that's the worst thing. I could have, like, just chilled with my little Tamagotchi dog. But there you go. But that is what a business is like. It's like that. It's for anyone that wouldn't know what a business is. This is what it's like running it. You have to constantly look at it and do the things, and it's not even like people think, oh, it's okay, you can just hire people to do that. But no, that costs money. It's a roller coaster of emotions, and it hasn't been easy. It's still not easy, but there you go.
Have you had a Tamagotchi since?
No. I think I've got PTSD from the Tamagotchi situation. I'm just like, that is part of my childhood trauma.
So anyone listening to this that knows Sherie, there's an easy Christmas present.
That's it.
What about a Frankie Doodles Tamagotchi?
That's it. Oh my God, could you imagine? It'd be like a little Frankie. Oh no, but then everyone would die, kill it on purpose. And I think I'd have the ump if, like, my little Tamagotchi Frankie pooed on the floor or something, because he's not allowed to do that in real life.
Well, I hope not. Hope not. Okay, what's the plan? What's the plan with Frankie Doodles? So where you are right now, goals have probably changed over time from the very beginning to today. What's the plan?
What's the plan? Get bigger. That's always the plan, isn't it? That's always the goal, is get bigger. But then when you set a goal like that,
go large.
That's it. You've got to go large, supersize it. You know, it is just to progress through. I mean, at the moment, the goals have changed slightly. We've shut down at Basildon, and we're focusing on being a UK based, rather than focus on being an Essex based business. We're a UK based online boutique now.
Ooh, UK based.
He's calling me, Frankie. I'm on a podcast.
Well, if he wants to come and say hello, bring him over.
Do you want to say hello on the podcast, because we're talking about Frankie Doodles?
Of course he does.
Well, quickly ask you a question. It's going to be an essay.
He's heard about the Tamagotchi.
Yeah, can he have one for Christmas? What is it? What, quickly? At the time, what is it? Look, it's Chris.
Hola!
It's Casey's daddy. Remember Casey?
No.
You was holding her hands in Primark. You were trying to get her to buy loads of stuff.
She does that to me too.
Yeah, it's just that habit she has. It's just that effect she has. Tomorrow's the coronation. You can wear it tomorrow, okay? Okay, off you go. I got him a Union Jack hat, and he was like, I was meant to wear it today, and I was like, no, tomorrow's the actual completion. Yeah, so that's done.
Done.
So yeah, the goals have changed slightly. So that's what the plan is to just because obviously cash flow is a massive problem for all businesses right now. You know, the government haven't implemented nothing, no help, nothing. There's a massive cost. Sorry, I've got a hair in my face. It's my hair, but like, I suppose you have this problem all the time, Chris.
You'd think, but it's a more regular occurrence than you could even imagine. My hair is high maintenance, I tell you.
It is. And especially for me, because I'm Turkish, we're born hairy. Do you know what I mean? Hairy backs, hairy faces. Like, honestly, like on an off day, I look like a Yeti. It's terrible.
Do you want me to take this bit out of the podcast, or do you want it to stay in?
It's up to you. We can have this.
It's up to you. It's up to you. I mean, we can call this up close and personal if you want to.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave it in. We'll leave it in. Don't edit that.
Yeah. So it was. I felt like since January, I need to start scaling back, and so I became more and more aware, like eyes open, what needs scaling back, because Christmas was not a good sales month at all on the high street and online. Online obviously wasn't a good sales month because Royal Mail decided to do all the strikes. Yes, there were couriers. We had DPD every Yodel, who, bless their cottons, they worked around the clock, but then they got impacted by the strikes. So they
out of interest, did they raise their prices because they knew Royal Mail were playing games?
No,
they didn't. Okay,
no, they didn't. They didn't. But
they could have.
They could have, and I think they knew the score as well. People were going to revert back to Royal Mail once all this was over. And to be honest, yes, I do use Royal Mail just as a standard postage, but I have since implemented a plan B. So there is a plan B if that was to happen again.
Business continuity.
That's it. So while the strikes were happening, I was in talks with direct courier services, and I did test a few of them out because obviously I was offering personalised Christmas pyjamas. People want to, But going back to the question, it was all like where to scale back. So obviously the biggest thing I had to scale back on was, did we really need a physical presence on a high street that is in decline? So that's what we did. We scaled back.
Which is a valid question to yourself, isn't it? 'Cause one thing I was going to ask you about was why you got started with the old bricks and mortar. But I guess it was to have a presence, which now you've done it, you don't actually need.
And also because I wanted to go ahead of everyone else. Lots of people started businesses during the pandemic.
Same with podcasts. Everyone had a podcast.
Everyone had a podcast. Now you still have a podcast. No one else has a podcast. It's very, very like all those people that existed then don't exist now. Hang on. Let me try and remember this. And I tried to remember this last time, and I think I got the figures wrong. But was it 700, just under 800,000 podcasts, and only 187,000 out of all of that had something produced within the last 6 months. Yeah.
So it's a little bit of difference of how many are alive and how many have just died.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the same with like home businesses. A lot of people set up like craft businesses, wax melts, candles, even clothing, making their clothing or whatever. And they've all started to close down. They've all shut their websites down. Not all of them, but some of them, most of them have, because they were all messaging me afterwards, asking if I wanted to buy all their stock. Some of them I did, some of them I didn't. But the point of me going physically on the high street was, because it was a step up. It wasn't just running it from my little pokey-wokey room in my house. It was get me out of the house because I've been stuck indoors for nearly 2.5 years. And I wanted to feel like I was actually going to work. And I wanted to show that it was actually my job, because I think people close to me sort of saw it as, oh God, she actually thinks she's going to make money from a hobby. Believe me, like selling kids' clothes was never meant to be a hobby. It was always meant to be. It's always going to, for me, at the initial start was, it's going to be an earner because everyone has kids. Everyone knows kids. You've got kids in your family. So people are always buying something for kids. So I thought, yeah, it'll work. And then Mother Care closed just before the pandemic. There was a massive wholesale closure of that, kiddie care. And, so there's a gap. There probably will be a corporate one day that will take over that. But then you've got all these other chain stores that incorporate kids' clothing, so that probably brought on like the likes of Mother Care and that closing, but they don't do what I do, so it's all right.
I think so. When I was in a certain toy shop, I won't mention any names, I think they said the ideal amount of shops and online presence is about 150 shops spread out across the UK, and then your online presence.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe some of the bigger brands, if they'd scaled down to that, who knows? You never know, dear. Okay, so let's talk about online and your social media, because it is buzzing, always buzzing. Is there a strategy that you have?
No, not really. There's all this algorithm talk and everything, but
no one understands it. No one on Instagram or Facebook can actually understand and explain how the algorithm works.
No, that's right. And it's just when you think you've got the hang of it, and I think that, everyone has to have their own routine with it. It doesn't matter what time people are scrolling, people will see it, and then they always say a few months later, oh, Facebook's changed the algorithm again. No, it's really based on what it is you're what you're viewing at the time. So it's like if you view one of my posts for say more than 10 seconds or 3 seconds say, then the chances are you're going to see my post again, and consequently, if you haven't been on Facebook for a while, because everyone has stuff going on, people don't always go on social media. They might go on it just to watch, or they'll go on it to continuously post. And it just really depends on what you're looking for. I think that has a lot of effect on this so-called algorithm, which I think is starting to be a myth, really. I think it really depends on what you're viewing at the time. I try and make it catchy. I don't really do sort of organic reels. I tend to sort of just upload TikTok videos that I've made, and I like the music, so I think, oh yeah, that's good, I'll put that on Instagram.
If it works for you, it'll work for someone else.
That's it. I do try and put some engagement ones on there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I mean, my personal Facebook is completely different to how I post on the business. I'm a little bit more sweary and just sort of that dark humour, really. But I try and keep it. I tend not to. One thing I've seen, like with other people's business content, is they do tend to get a bit personal, and they're almost like, "Oh, we're putting our prices up, just letting you know." I don't need to explain that to my customers. They're not my accountants; they're my customers. So I don't do that. I don't sort of. A lot of independents sort of say, "Oh, if everyone can bear with me, my kids are ill, I'm ill, my husband's ill, the dog's ill." It's like, no. Again, my customers don't need to know that. I've seen content where business owners are actually crying on their reels, like they're crying because they're so stressed out. And I just think, okay, that's not making me want to buy anything from you. If anything, it's making me want to unfollow now, because it's, people don't need to see that side. They just want to know that you do stuff. And I want to sort of not give off the impression, but actually show that, yeah, I'm running this solo. People that know me, that are close to me, know I run this business solo. I do tend to sort of talk of us, like I speak sort of on Facebook, I'm speaking in plural, like there's we, us, from all of us at Frankie Doodles. It's like as if I've got like 50 employees in my pokey wokey room, But that's not sort of on a purpose thing. I think it's because I've sort of made my business a third person. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's an individual. But yeah, that's just pretty much. I keep it very relatable, not so much that I don't want them to relate to me. If I've got a toothache, no one needs. That's for my personal Facebook. Not, a bird shat on me yesterday. A bird actually shat on me yesterday. I was so busy yesterday running my errands and doing all my worky stuff, and a bird shat on me. That went on my personal Facebook. That didn't go on my business Facebook. Like, look at me, I'm doing all these deliveries, making sure all my customers get their orders, and by the way, a bird shit on me. I couldn't put that on the business Facebook.
No. And
no.
Yeah, like you said, the things you see on Facebook, right? The one I hate, the one I can't stand, that I can't deal with self-pity. So when someone says, "Oh my God, I'm so angry," and then all you see the messages, "Are you okay, hon? Inbox me.
Inbox me.
Oh, let me know. Give me a ring. Can I call you?" No.
Is it that thing you told me about? And then it becomes more and more cryptic.
And it's like, well, what is it? And now everyone's got an interest. When really, all right, okay, you have issues. Everyone has problems. Everyone comes up against something, but deal with it. And there's a quote: "Is it deal with it? Don't Facebook it."
Yes.
And people more likely to want to help
quote?
you.
Was it Abraham Lincoln? Did Abraham Lincoln make that quote?
Yes, he was around. Facebook was very big when he was around.
Yeah.
Definitely old Abe. Respect to you, Abe. You come with a great quote. So moving on then, despite you having your own brand, there are some copycats out there.
There are.
Trying to imitate Frankie Doodles. Do tell.
Yeah.
What's the gossip?
It was actually a friend as well that did it.
Oh.
And she was copying and pasting, but using it in other groups. copying and pasting, using the pictures with the actual Frankie Doodles logo on it, because I watermark everything, and using my wording. I use specific emojis for each, like the post. There's always like generic emojis that I use. And so I tagged her in a post and then she blocked me.
Oh, guilt. Busted!
And then she WhatsApped me saying, what's all that about? LOL. Like that. And I went, LOL? Like, LOL. And I just went into a tirade with her. And
so she's laughing out loud.
Yeah, like as if it's me having a manic moment, and I just sort of read her a fortune really. And I said, "This is," and I sent her a copy of our trademark certificate. You can't use any of our stuff, especially when it's watermarked.
That's so. I mean, is that stupid? I don't know. Is there a kind of word to? But your stuff's watermarked. Why would?
Yeah, why use the picture?
Where's the sense?
Do you know what I mean? But she was selling, and she was marking it up as well. That was the worst of it. And then it was like, but it was people, like customers that are in these groups, and she was going on selling groups, and they were like coming back saying, "Hi, that dress I bought, it's now being advertised by someone else, but it's your picture and it's your words. I thought it was you, but it's this other person." And I've had people imitate since. I've had the cold cups, the colour changing cups. This happened before Christmas. So I got in these colour changing cups and I showed them to a customer because I'd literally just got the delivery, and I said, "Oh, hey, look at these." She was like, "Oh, wow, I really like these." She goes, "What are you going to do with them?" I said, "I don't know. I think I'll just personalise them, a name." And she was like, "Could you put a picture on it?" I was like, "What kind?" So she said, "Oh, my mum's an Elvis fan. My brother likes, whatever, football." So I said, "Okay, leave it with me." So I've done a couple of designs, put it on Facebook. An hour later, literally someone who I could throw a stone at them and it would hit them at close range, An hour later, they were advertising the same cups, but not with my design on them. But it was just so happened that they were advertising their same cups, but not from the same supplier. They were getting theirs from China. So, but they would. But I charge. So for my cold cups, I charge $7.99. That's it. You get a straw, you get a lid, and you get anything you want on them. If you want a dog's dick on it, you can have a dog's dick. It's your cup.
I mean, someone out there will want that.
That's it. But they were charging $11.99 for the cup and then an extra £2 for the straw. And nobody
£2 for a straw?
And not a single person bought their stuff. Not a single person.
I'm not surprised.
Consequently, do you know what? No one that has copied me, and there's been lots that have. There are lots that do certain things, and then all of a sudden you see that they've changed and they're going into what I do. Not a single person has gone on to live a happier life. Not anyone has gone on to be successful. Most of them, their businesses have shut down because, granted, what I do is not unique. Okay, there are lots of independent baby clothes sellers out there, retailers. But one thing I don't do, and I don't copy. Yes, most of us use the same suppliers, but we don't tread on each other's feet. I bump into so-called competitors. We have a chat. We meet up at we're there at the wholesalers on the same day, walking through. "Hi, how's it going? How's business?" We have a little discussion, and that's it. We just carry on. Yeah, most of the time we're all buying the same stuff, but we market it different. We don't call each other out. We don't. To me, there is no competition. There's enough to go round. You've just got to box a bit clever with it. And for God's sake, don't use my pictures. I'll sue you. I've got,
you've heard it there. She will sue your ass.
That's it. It's like, don't do it.
Makes no sense, especially if you've got the watermarked as well, which is the whole point of a watermark.
That was
to identify.
Was the biggest thing that really wound me up. I was like, do you know what? I've even watermarked the bloody thing.
Don't get it. Okay, well, they've tried, they've gone, and you'll never hear from them again. Now, this takes us very nicely. There is some little publication in the world called Vogue. I'm sure many people have heard of it. What happened there then?
Do you know what? I was actually on the phone to your good wife at the time, and I spotted an email. It was like, can you give us a call back? So I screenshot and sent it to her, and I went, Vogue magazine. And I went, I bet they're scammers. I bet they're in like India, Pakistan, South Africa or something. You know, sitting there waiting for me to buy. They're going to ring me, I'm going to ring them, clone my number, clear my bank account. And she went, yeah. And we laughed about it. And she went, but they have left a number, and scammers don't usually leave
No, they
numbers.
Or they'll call you as a private number.
That's right. So I said, I'll give them a call tomorrow, and I'm going to tell them off. And that was it. Literally, I was intending I was going to tell someone off.
Have you ever considered being a teacher?
Oh God, no. Oh God, no. That's a terrible idea. Terrible idea. Do you know there used to be a program about teachers? It was a comedy on BBC. It didn't last very long. And I remember seeing one episode, and the teacher's marking, and he's put D for dickhead on there, and that spoke to my soul. You know, he was just randomly shouting as he was marking. It was like, idiot. Stupid answer.
I can't give him an eye.
That would be me. I'd be that person. So I called them because I remembered I was going to argue with somebody. So I thought, oh yeah, I better call these. And it really was Vogue magazine.
Dun dun dun.
And that they were looking for independent businesses to feature. And they came across our website. They liked the story. They liked the stuff. They thought Frankie looked really cute. I could have any pictures I wanted. So I chose 3 pictures of Frankie. So there were 3 issues back to back. So what did we have? February, March, April issues this year, 2023. Promoted autumn, winter and spring, summer. Came out in April.
Very nice. Now, I did a little, just very quick search to give an idea of anyone that's not heard of Vogue. The Vogue website in March alone, 15.2 million hits.
15.2 million people saw our feature.
1.3 million of those for March were in the UK, and the US had 6.8 million. Damn, girl!
Damn! But consequently, I mean, don't get me wrong, my TikToks still haven't gone viral. My cat's more famous than the business at the moment.
Maybe your cat needs to get into this advertising business.
You know, but everyone is saying that, and I'm going to do some merch. Frankie Doodles is going to do some Boris the Dictator cat merch.
Could, and this is a long shot here, pet wear?
I have been asked about this, and I am thinking about it.
I mean, I have fish. I don't really think you can get much for fish, but...
No, but I have been asked about, like, pet hoodies, like dog hoodies, bowls, things like that. I've been asked.
Maybe that's sort of thing at Christmas.
Yeah, I'm thinking
actually,
a seasonal thing.
I have to say, when I think it was in January, I went to the park with the little bloke, and I've got to say, the amount of dogs, they're all small dogs, the amount of dogs that look like they were wearing tracksuits.
Yeah.
Like full on tracksuits. Not like
I've
just
seen
dog
one wearing a
coats.
puffer coat. It was amazing.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a market you need to get into.
Do you know, the first year, I think it was in 2019, or was it 2018? It was 2018, I think. We launched Christmas pyjamas, but we did family matching at the time. And it was still not overly available with the corporates. I call them, you know, like the supermarkets and the big shops, I call them corporates because that's what they are. They're not real people. And they hadn't really done it. And if they were doing it, it was too expensive. So I did family matching, and I actually did dog pyjamas with them that matched with the families, and they were a massive, massive hit. So I did them the following year. It was massive again.
Aha.
And so it would be something I'd probably do seasonal. It would probably be something I'd bring in at Christmas, like between Halloween and Christmas, you know, so that they've got their own sort of merch. But that's as far as I'd take it. it would, because I think too much of it would lose its sort of.
I just had an image of a dog in flip flops and shorts with sunglasses.
Yeah, with a Hawaii shirt.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Excellent.
This is an untapped market. So what's next? What's next for you? What's next for the brands?
So what's next? Obviously, continuing what we're doing. I've spent the last weeks printing, personalising King Coronation t-shirts, obviously, because tomorrow's the big day. We get a king. So I've been working on that, and now that's clear. I'm still planning it, but I am thinking of putting a new range out, just a range for Frankie Doodles. Because I've been trying different things, and people will notice that there's things that have come up on the website and they don't exist anymore. So last year, it was just after the summer, I brought in a collection for sensory clothing. It's all very good, and it was to really appeal to a community of people that rely and need sensory clothing. Now, the problem that I found with that is having to source it. And it's very long-winded trying to get the stuff.
It's quite specialist, isn't it?
That's right. So I've taken it off the website for now, and I have informed people sort of that regularly inquire about it, that it will come back when I've sourced something a little bit easier to obtain, so that I'm not waiting weeks and weeks for it to be produced. And obviously, because at the moment, families are getting kind of rinsed for this sort of clothing, and then it's difficult to get. And even then, I've taken on board what people have said, what they're looking for, and what the problem is what they're currently buying, say from Marks and Spencer's or from Amazon and places like that. They're not exactly, sensitive to sort of like diversity, if that makes sense. So, with that in mind, I am going to try and sort something out with that and bring it back again and make that range better. But until I can, I am looking at sort of not an overly massive sort of brand, but just a little brand of our own, because we retail other clothes. Do you know what I mean? It's not clothes that we make ourselves. It's not clothes made for us. They're different brands that we retail out. So we've got, obviously Soft Touch, Rockabye Baby. They're all well-known brands that we stock. But I would like to stock our own brand. And so I've come up with Doodles.
Ooh, like that.
And it's going to be like a basic range. Do you know what I mean? Like just really basic stuff, but nice, good quality. It's not expensive. It's not cheap. It's not Primark cheap. But then Primark isn't cheap anymore. All the corporates have upped their prices, and it's all very generic clothing. It's all either beige, or it's pink, or it's red, or it's just really out of the ordinary, like crazy looking clothes. And again, like all the kids look the same. So, it's something for everybody. But I'm gonna pilot it on the babies first, because let's see how that goes, and then eventually push it through all the collections. So it'll be merged into it, rather than it have its own bit. It will merge into all the collections.
All right, look out for that, people.
Yeah, it's going to be pulled. It took a while for me and Frankie to sort of figure it out, and then a friend sort of assisted as well. And it is something we often say, Doodles. So
it kind of makes sense.
That's it.
Does make sense. That's good. All right, we will look out for that one. Is there any advice that you give to someone wanting to do this crazy thing and chase their dream?
Don't leave it at a dream, and don't spend too long thinking about it. Think about why you want to do it. Don't rely on people to sponsor it either, because no one will. Your friends are not your customers. Your family aren't your customers. Everyone's going to be negative about it, but in the end, it won't work if you don't. It doesn't. Nothing works if you don't work.
Boom! So, check that out.
Do it.
Just
get on with the job. Get on with it.
Love it. Are there any influential people out there who are influential to you?
To me?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I saw a thing and I've actually applied. Right. So obviously Baroness Brady, Karen Brady.
Of course, yes. She knows a thing or two about business, doesn't she?
She does, don't she? She had her own football club, didn't she? Was it Birmingham? Birmingham City, wasn't it?
And now she's
Chairwoman of that.
now West Ham.
Now West Ham. And I've just always found her quite inspiring, really, because, for a woman to sort of have to take into, because she doesn't sort of go into like, she's another one, she doesn't go into the quite girly sort of scenes, really, does she? She went straight into a male-dominated environment,
Stood her ground.
And stood her ground. And look at her now, Baroness Brady. So I find her quite influential.
That's good. Now, there will be a wall of quotes from the guests of this podcast. What's your favourite one? Come on. What's the one that hits you?
Give your mum a pat on the back from me. You know where that's...
If you...
Do you know what? I was talking with a friend about programmes we liked, and I was talking to him about Ari Gold from Entourage. And I was like, do you know what? I could watch that character all day long. I said the quotes, the one-liners, and the best quote out of it is "Give your mum a pat on the back from me." I use that as an insult. If someone's like really getting on my nerves, being a dick, and I just, rather than just outright go, "Your mum," because I do say that a lot, I just say, do you know what? Give your mum a pat on the back from me.
And they're just left confused.
They're just like, okay, thanks.
Well, I have 3 at the moment. Obviously, my top one is "Don't be a dick," which does it covers everything. It covers all aspects of life.
They say it in the Bible. It's there.
You see,
in the book of scriptures.
Don't be a dick.
Here's the earth. Don't be a dick.
for the people that want to think about it, work in silence and let your success be your noise.
Excellent.
Ooh. And my latest new one is from Morgan Freeman. Don't take criticism from people you would never go to for advice.
Excellent. I like that one.
And I can hear Morgan Freeman say it when I read it as well, which adds a lot of...
I could hear him say, "Give your mum a pat on the back from me" as well. Don't be a dick. Work in silence. I can hear him say it all.
I need to hire Morgan Freeman just to read out all these quotes.
I mean, in my day, sort of like, it goes from... My day usually starts with Morgan Freeman narrating my life, and then probably from about midday, Samuel L. Jackson takes over.
Oh, yes. And Samuel L. Jackson is meant to... I've not listened to this properly, but there was the whole thing about Amazon Alexa was going to have a skill which would allow it to talk like Samuel L. Jackson. 2 versions, a clean and explicit. Now, I don't know what happened to this. I don't know if it actually happened, but I'm going to have to, because I would like to hear Samuel Jackson tell me how the weather is. Tell me that it's going to motherfucking rain.
Do you know what? That'd be the only reason why I haven't got an Alexa. I've got an Amazon Fire Stick, but I've disconnected Alexa because I'm the lord and ruler of this house. And
you don't need Alexa doing the rest for you.
I don't need Alexa to tell me for me. I can look out the window and see what the weather's like. But if Samuel L. Jackson's on there,
okay,
I will shut up and listen.
Okay. I'll look into this. Where can the good people listening, where can they find you?
They can find us on frankiedoodlesclothing.co.uk. They can find us on Facebook, Frankie Doodles. I think we're Frankie Doodles Clothing on Facebook. They can find us on TikTok, on Instagram, and they can follow us on Twitter, but we're not very good at Twitter.
Yeah, there are certain platforms that are better than others for other things, in a way.
Yeah.
I do find Twitter, if anything ever happens in the world, Twitter will know about it before anywhere else. So I use that as my news source.
Everything before anyone else.
Especially like local stuff as well. I always find stuff out locally on Twitter before anywhere else.
That's the thing. I tend to I don't go to the news pages on my phone anymore. I kind of look on Twitter, and then you see it trending straight away.
Because you also see a lot of stuff on Twitter that you won't see in the news.
No, that's right. There's a lot of leaked stuff on there. So
you're only meant to see what they want to show you. But let's not go into conspiracies or anything like that. Is there anything else that you want to plug? What's on offer? What's new? What's coming up?
Don't ask me for any more Coronation t-shirts because I'm done.
This will
But
go out
I-
after the coronation, but I guess if someone wants to have some nice little
if they want to
souvenirs
get
as a
in
memory.
touch for a little like memorabilia keepsake, that's fine. I can live with that. I am going to be introducing digital prints fully.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay.
And I am working on some Father's Day fun quote sayings T-shirts, as well as just something cute for the baby.
Quick idea for you.
Just look at
Father's Day material. So if you're doing like t-shirts, maybe you could have like, you know, the really bad dad jokes. There you go.
I do have. I've just. It's just come on. I've just like put it together and put it on. It's a credit card, and it says Bank of Dad. The card number reads "I'm so broke." And
I need that. I need that with Casey. I need that.
And it's just brilliant. I just like it's all put together, and so far that's been the most popular design. Like there's about 10 designs, and that's been the best one. Everyone's liked it.
I'm not surprised. There's a lot of love for credit cards out there when your daughter asks for money again. All right, well that's everything from us. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's everything.
You're
from
all
me.
good. You're good. Thank you for taking part. You know,
Thanks for having me.
the comeback. We got there in the end. Recording it twice, but we got there in the end. Technology did not like us the first time. The answers were more up to date and more current, and we're all good.
Well, that's it.
All good. All right. Thank you very much, Miss. Good luck with Frank
Thank you,
Doodles.
sir.
We will
Enjoy your T-shirt.
Thank you. We will see you again soon. If you want to plug anything, you know, let me know.
Alrighty.
I will see you.
Oh, there is one thing.
Oh.
There is one thing.
Yeah, far away.
We're nominated and we're up for an award for favourite family business. It's from the people of Shop Happy. They run this award. So if you go on, you can nominate your favourite family business, and if you can select Frankie Doodles.
If you can, all right. If you can just that bit again, because where you said to go, you froze.
Oh, okay. So if you can nominate us, well, actually, not even nominate. If you vote for us as your favourite family business, you go to shophappy.com and it's you just vote Frankie Doodles. Our location is Essex because we're head office is in Essex. And then everyone that leaves their email address when they put their vote in is in with a chance of winning a £50 high street voucher.
Whoop, whoop.
The votes close on the 22nd of June, so fingers crossed we win.
Good luck. Cool. All right. Thanks again for being here.
That's all right. I'll speak to you soon.
And I'll see you in the next one.
See you later. Bye-bye. Toodles.
Thank you for listening to In the Spotlight. If you would like to share your inspiring story, please email chris@learndeveloplive.com. For more motivation and inspiration, you can visit learndeveloplive.com and don't forget to book your free 30-minute LDL power call at ldlcall.com.